Hello and welcome to Bayberry Lane Art. I thought I would take this opportunity to share my process on getting ready to do some encaustic wax. So I did my sketch in a Lyra 6B pencil, and then I lightly went over it with a wash of clear gesso to set the lines. Here I am adding my first round of watercolor, Payne's Gray. And I'm just setting it in right now into the darkest shaded areas to establish those, my darks and lights. And keeping conscious of the whitest part, the whitest highlights that I want. So I barely want to touch those, but I'm getting in my darkest darks in here. Here I switched my brush and I'm adding a slight light wash to her iris and to the rest of her face just to get an overall cohesiveness to the piece. Here I'm just continuing now with a darker color, using some phthalo blue and filling in those darks. And now I'm going to start my drips. So I start out with clear water, and then I continually slowly add some Payne's Gray to get the drips to the shade and the tone that I want. So the darker drips you want, you just keep adding slowly more and more color. And here you see me with the all-important paper towel. It's a main tool that you need for watercolor to soak up some too much water or too much color. Here is where I'm adding actually the phthalo blue. It's such a pretty color. I'm just putting it in some of the darkest areas. So here I'm adding more of the phthalo and putting it in kind of like the mid-tones actually of the piece. Just adding another shade of blue and keeping like a cohesiveness of the whole piece, and just adding it around. I'm adding it also to the drips here, just to add some interest. It's very easy to do because the water in the paint is going to stay right within the boundaries of the drips that were already made. So it's pretty easily done. And here I'm starting to add a little yellow. And I started out with a darker yellow, but I'm adding a lighter yellow now because it is a child and I just felt it was a little bit more appropriate. So I just keep adding layers and layers of the yellow until I get it to where I like it, to it's bright enough, and I just keep going around the face, working around the face, and where my lightest points would be, I'm just adding it slowly, layer by layer. Here I go back to my darkest, adding more of that Payne's gray in, and to get a little bit more depth. I struggle here sometimes with noses, but I keep at it, and eventually it happens, and it comes to fruition. So stick to it. Don't give up. Keep going. So here, just trying to define some of those lines that are crucial to the piece. Figuring out the nose, mouth, just doing some of those details with the Payne's Gray. And here I'm just doing a little wash of the Payne's Gray over the whole piece. Again, just to unify it all, and maybe like push back the starkness of the white. I also am going around the edges of the whole piece with the phthalo blue, except for the bottom, because I don't want to lose the effect of the drips falling off of the canvas. And this frames in the piece by doing this. And so here I'm just adding water to the shirt, and then I'm adding a green and yellow and white just to let the blouse stand out a little bit. So here's fun part. These are my favorite pastel colored pencils, and I can't even tell you how beautifully the white works over watercolor. It's just beautiful. The watercolor just receives it nicely. It's bright, it's white, and I'm just gonna go highlight crazy. I'm just gonna start adding in all my highlights now, and this part was a lot of fun to me. So I just continue around the face, lightening areas that I think might have been too dark. And here I start doing some mark making with my white pencil, just adding strands of hair. It's just amazing how it's just being picked up, and I'm really happy. I'm adjusting areas of shadow that might have been too thick, and they're just thinning down instantly. Just really, really easily done. I'm really happy with the outcome of it. I'm just focusing on those highlights and bringing them all forward and pushing back what needs to be pushed back. So here I decide I'm loving the white pencil. I want to punch up the yellow watercolor. So I grab the light yellow pencil and I just start punching up that yellow. Then I decide to add a little bit of blue, just kind of go over, just add a little bit of that baby blue throughout her face, a little in her hair to keep the same color all over. So here I have gotten a light peach, and I start going over the whole entire face, and now I'm just going to unify the whole face, and I start vertically and then I will turn it horizontally. And the reason for this is I want to get into all the crevices that is left in the watercolor paper. I want to fill up those crevices now. I don't need them anymore. I'm not applying any more water. So I'm going to take advantage of that, and I'm going to go in all different directions to achieve as much of uniformity as possible. So I just keep doing that. I keep turning the piece, and I'm just very lightly, slowly building up this color in the face. And the neck, don't forget the neck. I'm going over a little bit of the highlights again just to punch them up a bit more. So now I'm just going to add a little bit of blue, two different blues to the iris. Eyes are never one color, so you want to have 2 or 3 colors in there. So I have the Payne's gray, the light blue, and the darker blue. I'll add a little pink to her lips, and I'll let her dry overnight and sit, and in the morning we shall see how we're feeling about it, and I'll probably do some touch-ups, and then we'll start applying the wax in video B. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you try it.